Hello everyone, this is a short video to provide some tips for creating e-learning resources. A disclaimer that this is not a comprehensive one, but more of a just-in-time resource by the Staff Development and ICT Com to support your e-learning needs, whether it's for HBL in term 3 or just planning for home-based lectures or tutorials if we are activated. So let's begin by looking at three broad areas. First is the all-important principle of visual design. Next is lesson design, where we look at the structure and components of the lesson, one of which is the effective strategies of assessment and feedback. Let's begin with visual design. By adopting simplicity as a design element, using fewer colors, use less jarring colors, and focusing on the content, it will help enhance students' understanding, especially in presenting complex concepts or ideas. It is always best to present them using icons, diagrams, or models, as I am doing now. It will help to simplify any complex information presented. Another element in visual design is synchronizing its delivery. By doing so, it helps to visually guide the student in reading the text. Verbal cues are also helpful in moving along the content so that the student is engaged during this online lecture or tutorial. The last element is spatial predictability. Do not clutter the slide with too many words and images, as we need some empty space or what we call white space. This area here is what we call white space. Use white space as a teaser of what is to come. By using animation, this helps to guide the student. It's like having a pointer during a real lecture, guiding the attention of the student to what you want them to see. Another consideration is lesson design. There are 3 points here for consideration. First is planning the lesson following the SLS pedagogical scaffold. You know, the Pokemon ball. By having the processes of activating learning, promoting thinking and discussion, and facilitating demonstration of learning, it will help the student follow the flow of the lecture. It is also best to divide the lecture to 2 or 3 parts, each part no more than 20 minutes. This will help in making the content more manageable for the students, as on average we will tend to lose focus after 25 minutes or so. Another consideration is to sequence the different type of activities that demand different student-teacher or student-content interactions. This will help vary the levels of engagement for the whole duration of the lesson. And so that concludes the tip on lesson design. Another consideration under lesson design is targeted assessment and feedback strategies. No lesson design is complete without planning to check on students' understanding. It is crucial to include questions that enhance students' learning experiences and also to check on the effectiveness of the lesson itself. Important thing to note that these assessment feedback strategies are to be placed strategically throughout the lesson to provide good feedback to the tutors. Using questions at the beginning of the lecture is useful to activate students' learning, whether to activate prior knowledge or to act as a hook. So, for example, in GP, a question about the roles of the Singapore government will trigger different perspectives or aspects that will be later covered in the lecture. During the lecture itself, it is useful to promote students' thinking and extend their understanding of the said topic. Using questions at the midway point also helps to sustain engagement, as this is the point where their attention may waver. So questions here should be designed to be more evaluative or analytical. For example, following up from the simple question of what are the roles of the Singapore government to its effectiveness in managing the country. At the end of the lecture, it's important for tutors to know whether the lecture has been effective by posing questions that check on overall understanding or just to consolidate the learning from the lecture. So, for example, in JOG, one can ask about the links between the different drivers of globalization to see how well the student has understood the lecture. Do remember to vary the mode of the assessment and feedback strategies, such as giving an MCQ quiz or giving open-ended questions. as all these different modes will not only help to monitor and provide feedback about the whole lesson, but also help to engage the students to avoid them being passive learners. So those are the 3 tips that can help you create more effective e-learning resources. Hope you find these tips useful in making your online lessons more effective and engaging.